Welcome back to Creating Dementia Solutions. I'm Richard Pyatt. It's a Miles for Memories program. And if you were watching this or listening to this, you caught wind of it somehow, but make sure you always do by clicking the like on the Facebook page for Miles for Memories so you know when these episodes are available. We've been talking this year about factors that could help reduce your risk for dementia, and we'll be getting back to that in our next episode. In the meantime, we thought we'd check in with Sherry Sherban, founder of Miles for Memories, to talk about some exciting things that have been happening. Welcome back, Sherry.
Well, thank you for having me.
One of the exciting things is you have a new puppet,
Yes.
and there's a new video associated with that puppet. Now, first of all, for folks who may not realize, a puppet, what are you talking about? This is an educational tool that has proven to be quite valuable.
Yes, so we now have 9 puppets that we work with. The puppets really, in the puppet shows, were born because one of the things that was really important for us is to help youth understand what this means for grandma, grandpa, and elderly parent, and to know how to interact with them and eliminate the fear.
Yeah, and imagine if you're a young mind, a puppet suddenly in front of you gets your attention, right? And the message that comes with it is amplified, then what a great idea.
Yeah. So, our first one was with Monica and her grandmother and helping them understand kind of the ins and outs of what dementia really means. The second one looked a little bit closer towards dealing with bullies and how some people can be mean and the things that they may say about someone that they don't understand. And then finally, the third one we talked about, how does pets enhance this whole interaction, right? The pet can be there for the loved one. The pet can be also there for the children. The pet can play multiple roles. And then we also have pets that are intentionally trained just for that service, and that's a little bit different. And this last one that we just released at the research update is Professor Brainy. And Professor Brainy is teaching in front of his classroom, and he's really kind of breaking down dementia, the different parts of the brain, and what happens with the different parts of the brain. There was no way around not using real words in this one. The hippocampus is really the hippocampus, right?
Yes.
And trying to come up with fun little catchy words just was making the whole thing go way too long. But it was really interesting at the research update to have our actual researchers reference the video as they were talking and what that might mean. And, here's the thing. It is directed toward kids, so it doesn't get into all of the different components of the brain or all of the different actions that are going to happen. But it's enough to get you to go, okay, so I understand it a little bit better. This is how I learn. This is how maybe I don't. And this is what's impacted. And I find that this last video, it's the shortest one even. It's only about 7 minutes long, but it still gets the whole point across. And, there was fun conversation afterwards about whose voice Professor Brainy came from.
Professor Brainy, of course.
A great one, and we're going to expand with Professor Brainy going forward because there's great things that Professor Brainy can teach.
So you talked about there being a number of puppets. You've chosen carefully these characters based on the message that you're trying to convey. Yeah. So Professor Brainy, obviously he's trying to talk a little bit about the science.
Yes.
Well, I say obviously. I presume that's true.
Right. Really just bringing it home a little bit more. After the first video that we did create, I just thought all the kids were going to think this is great and they're going to feel empowered and be able to engage. What I didn't expect was their adult parents or the caregivers to come back to us and say, oh, I wish I had seen that at the beginning.
Oh my goodness.
And it was a happy accident, so to speak, right? And they learned from the videos too, because we learned from different language choices, right? We weren't trying to speak in scientific ease, as I will often refer to it as, but rather, how might a kid engage in a conversation?
Sure.
And making it simpler to understand. And so the first one really set the stage then for the next one, and really learning how to find an advocate in places that you didn't expect.
Well, it turns out adults benefit from that too.
They do. They really do. And so I even have the 2 researchers are ready to add some additional data for the next videos. Like, you guys are great.
Yeah. How do you connect with kids using these? Where do they see them?
Well, first and foremost, we will go to any school, any youth event, anything that's happening. It could be an adult event where the kids are sent over in the corner over here, and we bring the puppets. The research update, the puppets were there, but the community stroll, which will come up in September's every year, fall sometime, we bring the puppets out. And the puppets themselves draw the kids over and see what's going on. Professor Brainey's brain is sort of exposed with a dome on the top, and it lights up when he talks. That's kind of like, ooh, that's cool, right? That's really neat. So, it allows for the colors, the visualness, the lights to draw their attention for starters. And then you kind of go from there.
So Professor Brainey is really going to explain what's happening in the brain as easily as possible for those of us who could benefit from that. And we're going to walk away with an understanding maybe we didn't know we didn't have. Does that make sense?
Yeah, most definitely. He only talks about 4 different types of dementia, and there's more than 100. But there are 4 very common ones, 5 or 6 really very common ones. But it is the perfect starting point to move forward with where we might want to engage folks and move them in the next direction. One of the other programs that we do with young adults is our doctoral program, which is helping, we refer to it as the Elder Educators Program. So the doctoral students work with aging adults who are a caregiver for somebody with a neurological or neurodegenerative condition. And they interview them and they have a conversation back and forth. And the things that are shocking is that those doctoral students don't really understand the experience until they hear it directly from a caregiver, right? There's book learning, and then there's this is what really happens to me learning. And that program is really great. So youth aging from elementary, we've even done the puppet programs in preschools, all the way up into a doctoral level program, and everywhere in between there's programs for different age groups all the way through.
Somebody's hearing this and they're saying, I want that show to come to our youth group.
Yeah.
How do they do that?
I really just make a phone call, visit the website, go to Facebook, send us a note with contact info so that we can follow back up with you, and we'll look forward to scheduling something, right? So as we're moving into the summer months, it could be summer activities at a program. We'd be happy to do that. Less likely to be in the school systems because schools will let out for the summer. So back into the schools oftentimes during the regular school year, but even in church programs, church youth programs, we've done some for some churches will do that week in the summertime where they're doing some learning in different ways. So we've been to some of those programs at the same time. It doesn't really, dementia is a universal thing.
Right.
Right?
Almost doesn't matter what the venue is as long as they're able to see the message and get it out there.
And there has never been a event where we went to go talk to the kids that a teacher or another adult in the room didn't come up and say, wow, that was really helpful.
Yes, so we're back to the adult party. It's focused on kids, but this has been the extra reward.
Yep.
How do you make these? How did this happen?
Well, I'm going to give full credit right now to Clovis and even Jason from Access Vision. Clovis at the time was working with the Battle Creek Community Foundation, and it was during COVID that they needed to find a new way to reach kids because we weren't getting together. And he created a whole series of puppets for the Community Foundation. And he was on the show one day with me, and I looked at him and I went, I have an idea that you can help me with. And he went, okay, what's that? And I said, I think we could develop puppets to help youth, to help kids understand more about dementia. And he looked at me and went,
All they need to hear.
okay, sure, let's do it. There was a little hesitancy at first, and but he works with a lot of great folks that help him to put together the scripts with information. He makes all the puppets. Clovis had made every one of our puppets, including
Handmade.
Yeah. Professor Brainy. Monica just got a new face. She just got a tiny bit older. So there's a new Monica puppet that we just got as well. She's got tinnies on now. So.
Aren't we all getting older?
But Clovis does such a great job all the way from, let's say, the tennis shoes all the way up to the magnificent hair that he puts together and glasses. And a lot of time is spent on the clothing that's put together on these puppets as well. Even Grandma never has her buttons on right.
Well, congratulations on what ended up being an idea that has really expanded and certainly come to fruition.
Right.
Speaking of that, we've talked a little bit on this program about the technology that's now available, but at the research update here in 25, we saw something new. So the technology is meant for folks to get home who might have wandered without having to be diverted to an ER, et cetera. So that technology, as you might imagine, capitalizes on the advancements that have been made in this area, whether it's cellular or otherwise, to be able to understand what a person's position is and find them faster and circumvent all that extra time and expense. So maybe it's using like a cell phone type thing. Maybe it's using some kind of a tennis shoe or a shoelace kind of attachment, or maybe it's a bracelet. But now you had something new that you were showcasing at the research update, and this is meant for something that might be a scenario in which someone isn't all that far away, but we don't know where they are.
Yeah. So this particular one works very well at outings. They are intended outings, someone where you know your loved one is intended to be right next to you throughout the duration. But every now and then something catches somebody's eye and off they wander a little bit in a different direction. Not to be naughty, just it happens to me all the time. Squirrel. So they go in that direction. I liken it to taking your son or daughter, friend, relative, whatever, with you to the grocery store, and you're looking at spices, and you're so intent on that, and you turn and expect your person to be right there, and it's this huge panic that happens.
That's right.
Right? So with this program, you just open up your cell phone, you push the button that says find, and we'll start tweeting.
Wow.
And you go get them. Right?
So they're wearing it, maybe like a keychain kind of.
It could be, or you can put it in their purse, you can put it in their pocket, you can put it in a wallet, you can put it just about anywhere that will house it conveniently. And if they know, they can push the button in the middle of the device and it will make yours go off so they can find you.
Oh, so it works the other way.
It does. It works in both directions.
Well, so imagine that scenario just for a second. You've gone to Meijer or something like you've described, a large store, and you've become separated. Now, either one of you can push a button and find the other one in that store. My mother would have liked that when I was 4 or something, and I was hiding in the middle of a clothing rack. Remember the round clothing racks?
Yeah.
She didn't know where I was. She'd tell you that story readily, I'm sure.
Yeah, naughty. That was naughty, but it was kind of cool to hide in that clothing rack.
Back in 1975, these weren't available.
The one thing about it, though, and folks need to make sure that they understand it, it is intended to be a short-term device, right? It is a one-time charge with the battery, and after 2 years or so, the battery wears out, and you just need to get a new one. Right?
Okay.
It's not rechargeable, at least not what we have yet. So we'll keep working on that to see where we can go with it. But the distance that you get is about 250, 300 feet. Okay. So it's not meant to be, football fields upon football fields away, right? Not at two different ends of the carnival. They're expecting that you're somewhat nearby and you can get that kind of a response to bring them to you. So. But it's great.
And there are options for football fields away.
Yes, we do have other options for that very intentionally, including our GPS watch, which we did not yet mention. You can watch somebody walk around on the football field if you want, or you can actually see them go around in circles on the little Ferris wheel or anything else that might be in front of them. So we have real-time GPS, we have GPS locators, we have short distance event kind of scenarios where you can find someone. We do have the devices that go on your shoes, on bra straps, you name it, that are waterproof, that you never have to take off. So you take it off, you throw it in the washing machine, you take it out, you put it back on, and you are good to go.
Wow.
Yeah.
Incredible technology. How do we get it?
So you can do a couple of different things. You can reach out to us by calling us. You can go straight to the website. We also have a website for just the technology, which is m3-tech.org. That just takes you to the technology. You can hit the Miles for Memories button and go back to the main website and learn more about the programs, or you can start at the main website and look at the devices and say order, which will take you to that page as well.
Okay, milesformemories.org. Check that out. If this is a concern about wandering and the notion that someone who may do so would ordinarily, there would probably be a medical intervention. They probably would end up in the ER. Imagine not having to do that.
Yeah.
And the aggravation, and I mean that on a number of different levels, that happens in that situation when all we need is just to know where they are.
Yeah.
And this technology is pretty incredible. So congratulations on the new technology, and I imagine you're working on more, and this is a constantly evolving thing.
One of the things that we've just started up are the law enforcement packets that go into the vehicles now. So starting through the training, through the crisis intervention team training, going to the home facilities to do some huddle training, to do some training in the ER. A law enforcement person will have the ability, when they come across somebody, to say, going forward, I think you need this, and they can get them a bracelet that they need and the way in which to program it. They can come back to us. We will help them do that. But sometimes in the field, you'll come across someone who doesn't have that technology on them, and we have found a way to be able to pay for having those in vehicles in those emergency situations.
Wow. Miles for Memories. This is what Miles for Memories is doing in our community. Thank you, Sherry, for the update.
Sure.
Milesformemories.org is the website that we've been talking about. Facebook, Miles for Memories. Like, follow, whatever that button says. Just do it. You'll get alerted on these advancements and these episodes of Creating Dementia Solutions. I'm Richard Pyatt. See you next time.